So what we're going to do is arm on this side, and I'm going to show anterior deltoid just 45 degrees up, straight over the thigh, and that would be for gallbladder. Now I'm going to check, just since I got a strong muscle, I'm checking what muscle? Diaphragm. Now I put the arm out to the side, pushing in towards the groin, and I've got supraspinatus. Now I rotate the arm into an internal rotation and pull straight out into abduction. So you can relax so that you can see the line of drive. Stabilizing here, that would be latissimus dorsi. Now I can go up to here, and I can pull down. I stabilize usually the opposite shoulder. I'm pulling down like this for PMC. Then I go straight start position, straight up from the table, pushing up and out away from the sternum. Now I've got the sternal division. So clavicular division, origin, insertion close together, far apart. Sternal division, close together, far apart. Then from here, I can just pull this up and pull the arm out a little bit, touching the bottom of the scapula and pushing down like this as anterior serratus. So that would be the straight arm muscles when they're up. Now I believe we go into bent arm. Is that correct? Subscapularis on the sheet there?
Yes.
Pulling this up while I cup the elbow. Arm relaxed, straight out perpendicular from the body, elbow perpendicular, 90-degree angle, cupping the elbow, I'm pulling straight up, and this muscle inserts right here on the head here of the humerus, coming from the underneath side of the scapula. So it's an internal rotator, I'm pushing it into external rotation. Now from here, I've got the arm at 90 degrees for teres minor. It's an external rotator. I'm pushing it to an internal rotation. Okay, and the next one on the list is rhomboid. So I've got now the arm as close as I can to the side with the elbow bent as far as it can in external rotation, just like I had it in teres minor, and I'm pulling straight out while I stabilize the shoulder. And I'm cupping underneath the elbow like this. And then I can go to levator scap by pushing the shoulder down, and she leans over this way, so that brings the insertion close to the origin. Depending on what you're calling the insertion origin, the insertion is right on the inside top edge of the scapula, so when I drop the shoulder down, the scapula tilts this way. When I pull holding the shoulder down as far as I can, when I pull the elbow out, the scapula goes this way, so it makes that insertion go away from the transverse process of the cervical vertebra, which is the origin. So from here we go to coracobrachialis. We bring the arm right up like this, and I'm pushing straight down like that. And then middle delt, I'm pushing straight down here. Posterior delt's a little harder to do on the table because you got to get the arm back. But if I were to do it in the supine position, I pull the shoulder up, and I'm going to pull the elbow into a position like it's going towards an anterior deltoid. That would be posterior deltoid. Now brachioradialis, I'm grabbing her hand like I'm going to give her a handshake here. With the elbow cupped, I'm just pulling back like this. The opposing muscle to that, triceps, correct? So we're now putting our hand here on the inside of the elbow, and I'm pushing up like that. Arm fully contracted is like this, but I need a little leverage on it, so I'm going here and pushing in. From there, another spleen muscle is the opponent's pollicis. Now the way I like to do this is if I'm going to shake her hand, just give me a regular handshake here first. Now, I take and I bring that same hand, so I'm keeping her fingers straight with the palm, and my thumb is against the base of her, well, it's actually the distal end of her fifth metacarpal, right below the little finger, and the thumb is going to push this like that, and my other hand is going to bring the distal end of the first metacarpal away from it. So I'm pulling them apart. That's getting both the opponent's minimi digiti and the opponent's pollicis here. So ready and hold like that. Very good. Next we've got the upper trap. So this is where we have that shoulder up, head turned away from it, and the back of the head to it, and I've got one hand here, my other hand on the top of her head where I'm pushing that out like that. You relax so they see the line drive, okay?
Neck flexors.
And then the neck flexors will be having the head up, hands are going to be off the table just so she's not pushing in. And you notice how I have my hand positioned right over her forehead with the fingers near the top of the head. I go to 10 degrees, I push again on this line, and then I go to 45 degrees and I push again. So each way. Now I have my hand off, but I just keep my hand underneath so if it flops, it doesn't smack her into the table. Okay, so those are 10 degrees and 45 degrees.
Abdominals.
Abdominals. So now we have her sitting up with her hands like this and knees bent, and I put my forearm over her end of her thighs with the hand gripping the opposite knee, and then I put my upper forearm here with the head a little more up. So you're going straight back like this. Then I turn this way and I'm going from one side through the other like this. Then I'm untwisting her like that, and then do the same thing on this side. I've only been showing one side so far, but you get the drift of how to do it. Straight back. Now we go to psoas, lying on your back. That was trunk. Now we're going to leg. I guess I'll do it this way for the sake of the camera. I stabilize the opposite hip, and I'm grabbing underneath the ankle to pull it up, and it's 45 up, 45 out, and I'm pushing down and out at that angle. Now from here, if I do fascia lata, I just turn the foot in, and now I'm pushing down to the other ankle. What I can also do, fascia lata you can test also as easily at this angle here. From here, I can go gluteus medius pushing straight in. I want this out at least 45 degrees, because if you have it in here, they often don't see it. You got to get way out there, just like fascia lata. You don't want to be up here. You want to be up here. It really shows if you get it on decks farther out. Then from here, I do the opposite of gluteus medius, also on circulation sex. I grip one ankle and I'm pulling out with my palm straight out like that. That's adductor. Since adductor is a lateral rotator, external rotator, I can rotate the leg in, and now I've got the gracilis, which also comes from the bottom of the pubic bone, but down to the inside of the knee, and then with the foot in, I pull straight out, and that would be gracilis.
Quadratus lumborum.
Okay, that would be gracilis adrenal.
Oh,
Quadratus lumborum would be pushing in like this, and if I were doing it on this side, I'm doing her left side now, pulling it like this, and I might squat so I'm not bending over, and then just lean back, stabilizing up on the top edge of the ilium here. Are we ready for bent legs now?
yeah, bent legs.
Great, so we've got quadricep. So that's just past 90 degrees. This is up higher than her knee, so she's activating the vastus group. I'm pushing this and this at the same time like that. Then from there, I believe it's going to piriformis. So I'll have my hand under the leg, creating, this is now straight up out of the hip socket, and line of drive is rotating this back to bring the femur out of external rotation into internal rotation. From there, we drop it down into the knee out as far as it'll go, just relax it, and I'm pulling the leg straight, and I can do just a little bit of pushing on the knee, but most of it's bringing the leg straight. Is popliteus next? So popliteus is where you have the 90-degree bend here, the foot is in, and I'm pushing the, gripping the whole heel and using the foot as a lever to take the shin from an internal rotation to an external rotation. So it's just driving it out like that. Next muscle is the
ankle, peroneus.
So we go to peroneus now with the legs straight. As I demonstrated earlier, I stabilize with the inside hand, and then I bring the foot back into dorsal flexion, eversion, and pronation, and I'm bringing the palm right over the toes so she can't bring the toes back, and I'm going down and in like this as I'm gripping the ankle. From here, I could, if you want, it's not on your sheet there, but you could test the posterior, not the posterior, but it's the long and the long and short head of peroneus is when you're in plantar flexion, but also everted and you're pushing straight in. This is now the posterior tibials, where you're in plantar flexion, inverted, and I got, again, the palm right here is lying along here on the instep, and I'm just pushing along like that. So that's going into eversion. That's posterior tibs. Gripping still the ankle, anterior tibs, she's back here. You can see the line of that tendon. And I'm taking, without letting her curl her toes back, I've got the palm driving the foot from a dorsiflexion into a plantar flexion, and keeping the toes from curling back while the foot's into eversion. What's next?
Laying prone, neck
Root on.
extensors.
So if we're doing extensors, arms back towards your side and the head back. Just lifting up off the table, yeah. So this will be straight on, and then at 45 one way and 45 the other way. The line of drive is kind of forward and up. And then we go to
Teres major.
teres major, elbow bent, and I'm pushing down and out to get this muscle origin insertion far apart. From here, she could bring her head back towards the ceiling, and a line of drive is going forward and out for the sacrospinalis. Is the middle traps and lower traps
Yeah,
next?
well, yeah.
Okay, doesn't matter which one you do first. Middle trap would be pushing down. I don't want to be too far out with a lot of pressure, because this can often be overpowered. So I'm pushing down towards the floor for middle, and from here I'm pushing away from the lower fibers because it's attaching right on the spine of the scapula. I'm going this way for the lower traps. And then iliacus is like piriformis, by the way, would be if you had the foot here and an external rotation going into internal. But iliacus is the opposite. With the foot out, I'm pushing in. Now, iliacus, it didn't show it on the prone, the supine position, but that's kind of like a psoas, only you bring the leg a little higher up and not so much down, it's a little more out for a supine. Just like you can do the supine piriformis we showed earlier, this would be if you are in the prone position and you wanted to test it. You don't have to test it in both positions. Now we go to gluteus max, and that's the knee up. I'm pushing down towards the table like that. Usually I will stabilize back here, though the Touch for Health book shows the hand here. The reason for that is you don't want them, as you're pushing down, to straighten the leg, because then they're recruiting the hamstrings, which are also extensors. So leg up like that, pushing down. Now we go to the hamstrings, which are where you're now using all four divisions. There's like a medial and lateral with their four bellies. I'm pushing straight down to get all four. Then if I want to isolate the medial, I point the foot in, because the medials are now coming up, and I'm pushing down and slightly out, a very slight degree out. And if I'm doing the laterals, I'm now pushing down and slightly in while the foot's pointed out. Then we go to soleus. With the foot pointed up, she's now got the calcaneus closer to the origin, which is behind the tibia and fibula. And I'm going to take and push this way on the top of the foot, down like this to do soleus, and almost straight down here with the foot again in plantar flexion, down like that to get the gastrocs. Okay, I think we did it, right? Good. How long did that take? Doing is she's in that same plantar flexion with the Achilles tendon being short on the gastroc, and I want the leg just a little straighter for gastroc. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling this as I'm pushing down, which is in essence the same way as we were getting origin insertion further apart, from close together in the back. So that would be the gastroc from a supine position. And then remember, we do 90 degrees for the soleus. So again, she's in plantar flexion, and then I'm going to do that same. See how my forearm can be a lever to work on that, and that would be the soleus. Now, if you wanted to do hamstrings from this position, Because sometimes I'm testing a bunch of stuff and so let me check the hamstrings. I don't want to have to roll her over and roll her back over so I can, not as accurate, but it's still pretty good, is I can go like this, and now I'm going to pull, if I'm pushing the foot out, I'm testing what? Lateral. And then if I put the foot in, now there's no plantar flexion. That's why we're checking hammies. Then I'm getting the medials. So that's a way you can test several of those muscles in a supine position, again, because if I have her already in a supine position and I say, oh, by the way, let me check this, this, and this, like we were doing sartorius on me, okay, then let's do gracilis, and good, let's check soleus, you know, and gastroc, and all four of them were out without having me roll back and forth. So that's another little